Hi guys, Alex here from Breathing Cold, and I'm excited to bring you a really nice conversation with Reis from our Breath Collective. What I love is to interview people that are really passionate about what they're doing, that are offering facilitator training, because I really believe that what matters is for you to have the opportunity to explore different facilitators, feel their energy, feel what they're up to, compare, and then you can make your decision on what is the right program for you. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. I loved his chilled vibe, really relaxed, and the way he brings community together, and he's got a lot going on. So yeah, well done. I hope you enjoy it, and let me know what you think about it. All right, see you guys. Bye. Welcome everyone, and welcome Reis from Our Breath Collective. How are you, man?
Good, man. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to chat. Always love talking with fellow breathers. So pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited because I really love, I tell you what I love. I love the vibe on your page. I love the energy of the people who are sharing. I really like and that's not something that I see often, the lack of ego. I don't know if you feel the same when I look at a lot of breathwork facilitators. I see usually one guy who is kind of the star of the show, and I don't find that in what I've seen. It's like it's really collective. You bring people in, and that creates a very friendly atmosphere, which I find to be central in my teaching. Because if I don't know how you resonate with that. I do it with intention because I feel like if I'm the star, then the participant is not the star. Then the focus is on me and not on them. So I really do that. So yeah, I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you guys are up to and your philosophy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely resonate with that. And, it's not necessarily one of those things that is talked about a lot, where I think with any type of coaching or breathing, yoga, whatever it is, like the star of the show is usually the teacher, and they're kind of in the limelight and doing their thing, which whatever, that's fine. But really, our intention from the beginning has just been to create a community, and to just inspire people to get curious and to take the reins back on their life through breathing being kind of the main avenue that we're sharing. But for me personally, that's kind of been my journey, is I got super into breath work, had a lot of amazing experiences, and then just started sharing with my friends and had people coming over on the weekends, and we would just do some breathing like in the room next to me here in my kids' room. And then from there it turned into one of them saying like, hey, you should open this up to more people and just start doing this, for anyone who wants to come. And so kind of started this little breathing ice bath community at my house on the weekends. Pretty much every Sunday for almost 2 years, we were just coming over and breathing in the garage, going outside, getting in the ice bath, drinking some yerba mate, and sharing stories and gratitudes. And so that was kind of how it all started. And it was partially selfish because I just wanted to have people to breathe with. As I'm sure, as someone who's facilitating breathing, it's like getting the experience to be able to just breathe with other people. It sort of kind of falls on the back burner. And from there, yeah, we just kind of started building our Breath Collective. I mean, a lot of other things happened that catalyzed it, but really we're just here to inspire people to step into their extraordinary. And I think the breath is a gateway back into yourself to be able to realize and feel how powerful you actually are. And then from there, we can use the breath to be a tool for navigating life in real time, and also as a preventative measure, and really everything else in between. So
Cool.
that's, I'm paraphrasing sort of in a nutshell. But yeah, really just trying to help as many people as we can just realize and wake up to the fact that our breath is here with us, and it can be utilized to make our life better. So
Beautiful. What, tell us a little bit about the breathing practices that you practice. What are those breathing techniques?
I mean, at this point, I'm pretty intuitive with my own personal practice, just dependent on kind of how I'm feeling. I mean, I came into breathing through the Wim Hof method, and have had exposure to a bunch of the other kind of schools of breath, transformational breath, rebirthing, pranayama, and so I think one thing that happens in the breathing world, and likely in other communities, yoga, I know for sure, is it's like once you kind of find one thing, then you sort of put the blinders on and miss out on kind of all these other ways of doing things. So I've been kind of anti methods. I think it's a great way for someone to get started, because a method is structured and it's very simple to follow. But then as you start to build your own awareness and understanding and relationship to the breath, then it sort of opens the door for you to be able to write your own script, really. So for me personally, every day is a bit different. Lately, I got COVID about a week ago, so been doing a lot of more minimal breathing patterns, just to build up some CO2 tolerance in my system. But primarily just,
have you noticed a drop in your oxygen saturation?
I have, yeah, a little bit. I've noticed my breath rate has gone up, and just overall feeling like I'm just moving too much air. So I've been focusing on trying to slow it all down and breathe a little bit slower, and yeah.
And you've got the Oura ring. So for people to wonder how you know these things, you probably measure it through your ring.
Yeah, that was the first yeah, it's a great tool. It was the first indicator of getting COVID for sure. I mean, before I even tested positive, I was getting readings on my ring that were like, yeah, okay, this is happening.
So did you see because we usually measure the breath rate during the night because we're not in control, so it's completely done out of our control. So you've seen an increase in your breath rate at rest during sleep, right? It was a first indicator for you.
Yeah, HRV plummeted, breath rate increased, and body temperature skyrocketed.
From just give us some numbers. Like, what was your normal
my normal breath rate is like high 14 breaths per minute, and I was hitting like 16 and a half. I've never really gone over maybe like 15.3. So that was pretty high. My HRV is generally around, I don't know, 80, and I was at like 30s.
So HRV is heart rate variability, which is is a key marker to longevity, is a key marker to health and
recovery,
understanding.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with HRV is that's something that you can train and you can improve. So it's not something that is completely a part of the autonomic nervous system. You have access to it through the breath. So do you do what are the breathing protocols that you are doing right now in order to improve your HRV and improve your resting breath rate, if you can do anything about it?
Yeah, like I said, more just minimal breathing. So kind of starting with full breaths and then each breath just gradually bringing it down, 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 reducing breath movement, reducing volume. And so it kind of like turns into like this little tiny wave of a breath, so that I'm starting to feel air hunger building in my system. And
Do you use
then
an app? How do you, what do you do? How do you do it?
I just do it on feel, and just on my own, always have hands on my body, just feeling the movement, and then yeah, just kind of feeling it in my system. I don't really use an app or anything. Um, and then a lot of my just normal day-to-day practice is just connected breathing. So just finding a pattern with the breath, whether it's counting, a certain length of time, but just kind of moving the breath, adding some breath holds in, um, kind of really just free
But
flow it. I don't.
do you keep it softer because of COVID? Like, usually when you would do, let's say, the Wim Hof, you would have a really high breath rate and release adrenaline, endorphin. Would you not go there, but do more of a just, longer inhale, longer exhale, maybe through the nose, softer?
Yeah.
Is that what you go for? And I highly
Yeah.
recommend for anyone who's not familiar with it to research CO2 tolerance. You drop that word. That's
Yeah.
really more from Buteiko. Did you study also oxygen advantage and Buteiko?
Yeah, I've done my own personal study, with oxygen advantage, and yeah, just I think the more you begin to look at breathing and uncover, all of these different methods and whatnot, you can kind of see the similarities between them, and then how they all kind of work together. And I think part of the other thing I've really been focusing on, because I've had sort of like I've definitely felt it in my chest and my lungs. I've had a cough. Is not, like you said, not like super ventilation, moving the breath super fast, super powerful, but more intentional to like really building, expanding volume of breath, moving the breath from low to high, really trying to fill everything up slowly and then sort of let it all go, and then just really focusing on those mechanics of volume, and with more intention or focus on just opening it up as much as I can, because I could feel the restriction, and if I were to move the breath fast, even still, like I'm, still recovering a bit, but I can just feel it and start coughing and feels out of control. So
You know what's fascinating, and I love hearing you talk about COVID and how you're dealing with it, is once I don't know for you, but I do sense that once you have a breathing practice, you start to develop like a finer connection to self, and it comes with the self of empowerment. When you see around the world is people completely disempowered, waiting for the situation to get worse to go to the hospital, debating what kind of treatment they can do, and whereas hearing you, we feel, oh my God, well, there is a tool that has always been there that you can actually tap into, that can have direct access to all aspects of your health. And it's that simple. It requires, willpower. You have to do it. You have to actually focus on it. You have to dedicate time to it. And I love that expression from, I think, Brian McKenzie. It's, you can breathe yourself into the state you want to be. And
yeah,
for me, that's really what the breath in essence is. In your case now, okay, well, I have to take a slow breath. And that's because I want to heal, or I want to get high, or I want to access an altered state of consciousness, or I want to be able to perform physically. But your breath is really that tool that can get you where you want. So you're not waiting for the environment to define how you feel. Well, I'm sick, this is how my breath rate is, that's it. Or I'm running up the hill, I'm exhausted, I'm mouth breathing. you can reverse engineer it, and then your breath now gets you into the place you want to be, and that's absolutely life-changing. What's your take on that, and how did you, what's your
Yeah, I mean,
relationship
I
with
think
your breath?
I think the more you start to develop a breath practice and a relationship to your breath, then the acute awareness to these things increases. So, you know, for me, even just like the first day or so, I could really feel a change in my lungs. And I'm just highly aware of how that normally feels from day to day. And so I think, yeah, the more consistent you are with a practice, whether it's one particular method or whether it's kind of just playing with them all, it's all going to help, and it's all going to build this toolkit and this general awareness and ability to use your breath. And as you said, yes, we can breathe for the state that we want to be in, but also every state that we're in has a breathing pattern associated with it. So, you know, breathing as a behavior, the more you start to use your breath in a consistent practice, like anything, you're building strength, you're building awareness, you're building more sensitivity to it. Then you step away and you're not conscious about your breathing, you're just doing your day. Then all of a sudden you notice your breath and you're like, oh wow, I'm breathing a certain way. Then you can associate that to a certain behavior or a certain emotion or how you're feeling in that moment. And then that's the opportunity, right, to then change directions. And okay, I need energy, so I need to breathe in an energetic way, you know, or um, I'm super amped up and I need to breathe in a certain way to bring myself down. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I
so
mean, to give another example, uh, I probably like you, I do a lot of public speaking, workshop sessions, so I talk a lot. And I
mhm,
can, when we talk, unless you're really well trained, you breathe through the mouth, and as a result, your sympathetic nervous system gets super activated, and I can get completely exhausted and depleted after. So what
yeah,
I tend to do now is, like, let's say I have a conversation or I bring a guest or people are asking questions, I really consciously, whenever I'm not speaking, I will switch to nose breathing, and I will focus on having, more coherent breathing, like 5-6 seconds inhale, 5-6 seconds exhale, and just really stay. That allows me to be in my body, to be fully present with you and listening to you without being in my head, what I'm going to say, and I can really receive it. And at the same time, rebalance the nervous system. And I find that I do that, then I can go for a 4 or 5 hours workshop and be 100% at the end. And that has been a game changer in my energy management for me. So yeah, man, the breath is just, it's just magical. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to speak to you is I offer a facilitator training, and I found that looking out for what people were doing, it was really confusing and really hard for people to get an idea of what is the proper or the right facilitator training for them. So what I started to do is to have conversations with other facilitator trainers, because I thought that would be super useful. I'm sure that's what I love about the breath is people who are facilitating trainings, all they care about is spreading awareness about the breath. And what I love is usually they don't care whether they go for one training or another, as long as more people are breathing and being connected to themselves. I think we have this collective desire for that to happen. And I really love that about this industry. So I've started this conversation with the intention of people to explore, okay, well, I resonate with this approach, I resonate with this guy, this energy. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your facilitator training, what's unique about it. Yeah, I'd love to hear you.
yeah, no, I love that and totally agree. I think that's the beauty of all of this, right? Like there's all these different teachers and communities out there, and it's like, which one feels best for you? I don't think that there's one method or one training that's better than another. I think you're going to get different things from each one. And um, so really our training is focused on principles, so looking at the principles of breathing from physiology, biochemistry, mechanics, nervous system, how that all works together. And rather than putting together a method or a certain technique, we're not here to pigeonhole anyone into a one size fits all approach. It's like once you actually understand the principles and these fundamental parts of breathing and how they're connected and how our nervous system works with the breath, then you actually can be a very dynamic facilitator. You're not spitting out a script. You're not trying to force someone into breathing a certain way. You can work with a variety of people, and really that's kind of our goal is creating dynamic facilitators who can be goal oriented for a client or a group of people to help push them in a direction that they're trying to go, and using the breath in this way to where when I work with someone, it's like I want to do like a handful of sessions with you, and then you go out on your own and put it to practice. I don't want to be taking your money and working with you forever. If that's the case, then I'm not doing my job. And so that's kind of part of where what we're about is like I said, we want to empower the end user or the breather to have a toolkit, and um, through our facilitator training, we're working with people to be able to do that. So we chose to do this over 6 months, so that we have more time. Each month is really focused on one of those different aspects. First month looking at physiology, anatomy, mechanics. Second month looking at nervous system. From then on, moving on from there. We also spend a lot of time looking at like the tenets of teaching, what it means to be a good teacher, what it means to be a being of service, and how you can facilitate breath in a safe and inviting and just in the way that we all like to experience it, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to show up and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, and I don't really like this person, and I'm not really getting the vibe. It's like, no, you got to level the playing field and create a beautiful space for people to come in and have a potentially life-changing transformational experience. Um, so yeah, like I said, we do it over 6 months, um, obviously on Zoom, because doing in-person things is limiting in who you can reach. And then we actually cap it off with an in-person retreat at the end. So we bring everyone together and have a little fun long weekend together. And then actually from there, we developed a mentorship program that sort of spun off of our facilitator training that we didn't necessarily anticipate, but people asked for it, because you're getting all this information, you're starting to practice teach, you're starting to kind of develop your own vocabulary and cueing and how you do things. But then, as you go out into the world and you start sharing, then that's where you start to uncover things that are blocking you, or you come up against certain case studies of stuff you don't quite understand. So we provide a 6 month mentorship program where we work one-on-one with our mentees to really help them hone the craft, and then also work on like how to create a breath business, or even how to bring breathing into their current offering. I think that's one of the most awesome things about breathing is that you don't just have to teach breath work, right? Like it fits into all these other categories from yoga to acupuncturists, body workers, hypnotherapists, movement teachers, physical trainers, like all of these things. Like the breath is a component that's only going to enhance that experience for whomever you're working with. So, um, yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. It's super fun. It's my favorite thing to teach and to be a part of. Our students after last year started calling, we call it breath school, but they started calling it human school because they actually started learning so much about themselves. Because it takes a lot to be a leader, and not everyone has experience teaching or being in that leadership role, and so you got to go inward and uncover a lot of things about yourself, and we do our best to be there with you the whole way to help you overcome blockages or doubts, and provide as many tools as we can to help people become the leader that they're meant to be, sorry. And we're building our own community as well. So a lot of our trainers that came through our program are now teaching on our platform, and starting to be a bigger part of what we're doing at our Breath Collective as well. So that's one thing I think is unique about it, is that you can go through this training and then boom, you have this platform and this community to be able to work with and to be able to step into as well. So
Cool, man.
yeah,
Good
we just
stuff.
kicked off year 2 a couple weeks ago. So got another really awesome group coming together, and excited to see where it goes this year.
Yeah, I mean, fully aligned with everything you said. I have a very similar approach, doing it over 6 months with a very strong approach to community. Yeah, fully aligned with everything you shared, and I think this is the way to go. One thing that I really notice in this industry is that people have a high level of integrity. There is no body regulating us. There is no authority like, Yoga Alliance or anything like that. But I haven't come across people doing it without integrity. I don't know. There is some kind of people who are working with the breath, I find, are generally nice people. I don't know if that's your impression of what's going on out there, but yeah, it feels like a very caring, not too much. There is some ego, but not too much ego as I would find in yoga. I've been in yoga for many years, and I do appreciate the kindness and gentleness that comes with this approach of the breath. And your students are mainly in the US, or where are they from?
We've got students all over. We've got a few people in Canada, Australia, Europe. And then within our community, it's pretty much, I think we're in every continent now except maybe Antarctica. So yeah, we're like I said, our goal is just, and like you said earlier, just to help as many people as we can. And yeah, I think generally speaking, everyone is coming in with that intention. And I'm sure there's some outliers out there that are, trying to cash in on a trend and all of that. But I think the cream always rises to the top, and those who are really there for the right reasons are going to be there in the long run. And, I think that those are probably the people that most people are seeing anyway. But there's someone for everyone, and so I'm power to anyone who steps in and wants to share, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's interesting how this whole crisis situation that we're seeing, this whole pandemic, has really brought people to reconnect with themselves. Like now, you cannot trust. We don't know what to trust, who to trust. You don't trust religion. We don't trust governments. We don't trust science. So we're down to trusting ourselves, and that's pretty much a good idea. And I do find that the breath is such a game changer, because it's always there. And what I love about facilitating the breath, and I love that, you know, what you said about teaching people how to be human, rather than anything else. It's like, call it a life essential training, because it's so much more. But it's really that. It's really just, you know, once you have this connection to the breath, it's really the gateway to your soul, to your heart, to your feelings, to your emotions. But it's hard to control your thoughts. It's hard to control your emotions, but it's easy to control your breath. So tapping to that as a kind of a, hey, middleman, gets us to actually tap into living the life we want to live, not relying on the environment. And I do feel that now is really the time for that, because people don't know where to look in terms of finding direction. They're losing trust in the narrative that is put out there, because the illusions are crumbling, and people are realizing, hey, you know what's next? And it's exactly what we needed. I'm sure you're preaching the same. And not one belief, not one thoughts, but just, hey, you know, live your life, your beliefs, your thoughts, whatever is there is welcome. And I perceive, you know, a beautiful space holder in you, and that's all we need in this world, you know, people, so we can take care of ourselves, not taking care of each other. You know, you do you, I do me, and that creates, you know, by doing you allow me to do me, and that's really what breath work is for me. It's really just creating a space, a safe space, as you said, for people to be themselves and reconnect with that, what that means. So
and it's super attainable. I think meditation is hard, and people don't like to meditate, and breathing is fun, you know, and you can get a lot of the same effects, and likely quicker, you know. And I think one of the things that really stood out for me in the beginning of my journey, and continually does, is just how once you start moving the breath, how much everything else quiets down, and like you said, you can get more in touch with yourself. You can actually listen to that intuition. You can listen to the whispers that we so often just push aside or ignore, or, you know, just because we're moving so fast. It just gives us an opportunity to slow down. It feels really good. It's fun. It feels awesome in a group. You know, like this social nervous system connecting together in breath is like, I don't know that there's anything more potent than that. And, you know, I think, like you said, like this pandemic has forced us to go in. We didn't really have much else. Like, you know, I was like, hit the brakes and what's going on, you know. I mean, I know my life has radically changed through, you know, over the last couple of years, and fortunately been, you know, was teaching breathing and really into it, but it was more of like this passion project. And as other things in my life began to change, and I sort of became less interested in them, and had opportunities to leave those things, then it was like I could fully step into this. And, you know, I don't think that there's anything better, at least at this point in my life, that I would rather be doing. So feel pretty
That's
fortunate
wonderful.
to be able to do it, you know.
And I'm sure it's the same for every student, the same in all my students. When it's obviously your dharma, as soon as you tap into it, it's just so obvious, because there's nothing better than helping people reconnect with themselves. It's just a blessing, and if you can make a living from it, that's incredible. We have very similar approaches. I facilitate breath work, ice bathing, and authentic relating, which I think is quite big in the States. I'm sure you're familiar with it. So for me, the whole once you connect with yourself through the breath and ice bathing, I love to then move towards authentic relating, because people are disconnected from themselves, but they're also disconnected from each other. It says, oh, what is this person going to take from me? Or can I take advantage of that person? And when we have these ideas that we have to be careful of our interaction. So re-educating people on actually creating that safety within, so that they can open up and have beautiful connections in their life, found quite be life transforming. I'm curious to, I could see from your social media a lot of wonderful connections happening among the participants in your weekend, I guess. So I'm curious to hear you talk a little bit about what modalities you use for connection and what's happening there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think once you start breathing together, it just somehow, this social nervous system piece just starts clicking in. And I don't know that there's any particular name or approach that we specifically follow, but more just like bits and pieces of things that we've learned through our own experiences, through going to retreats or working with other facilitators, or just doing trainings and stuff, and just kind of picking up on that, and just finding what people really like and what really works, and then it just kind of whatever sticks is what we go with. But I think a lot of it starts with the breathing, and that sort of disarms people, and creates this connection to where a lot of the sharing that happens just sort of naturally flows, and it creates this like openness and vulnerability where people are just like willing to pour their hearts out, and like be totally open to say what's on their heart. So yeah, I think, and so much of it is just in that space that is created, and trying to hold that for people, trying to like you were talking about, like check the ego at the door. This isn't about me. It's not about, it has nothing to do with me. Like I try my best to really center myself and ground in before I step into the room, and take away whatever expectations or agenda that I have, and allow the magic to unfold as it does. It's weird. It's one of those things that I don't think you can really teach. It just sort of happens with experience and over time, and I think that is something that we try to hone in on, but I don't think that there's necessarily a way to explain it. If that makes sense. I'm sure you can relate to that.
I will tell you exactly, but for me, it's really all we need is to create space. You said about meditation, the goal is to create a space where, okay, I can be out of my routine, out of my mind, and be in my body. And those containers that we create are just that. We add some protocols that get people busy with the breath, with ice baths, but it's all we do is, okay, all right, get out of your own way. And when you manage to do that through those modalities, then you can go to whatever you call it, the source, or your true self, and it's not that complicated. As Wim Hof says, it's easy, but it's not simple. Or it's the other way around. It's simple but not easy. But yeah, that's it. And once we have that, then magic can really happen. And that's all we want and we need. Because we are always told what to do, what to think, how to behave. There's always some kind of an authority that is lecturing, whether it's a parent, a teacher, a mentor. You listen to podcasts, and so you're always busy listening, and you hard to just push away all that noise and just actually, okay, what do I believe? What do I feel? What's going on?
I mean, one thing One thing we always say is sensation over story, you know, like what are you feeling in the body, and let that be the gateway in, and leave the story out here, and not, you know, don't worry about it. Just feel. Because once you
Right.
start feeling, then, as you know, that opens up a whole can of worms of new exploration and understanding.
Yeah, I feel fully aligned, and I'd love to come and breathe with you guys and join one
Yeah,
of those weekends. And I don't know you, but I feel that for me, one of the best things is joining. I love joining other trainings and constantly learning and expanding. And that's what's magical about the breath is we don't really know that much. It's like with
yeah,
this, I watched the interview you did with Jack Feldman, or I'm not sure about his last name, but
yeah, yeah,
every time you ask him a question and he's like top in his domain, he says, well, I don't know, or we're not sure, or is it
yeah,
really not much that we know? And it's really a lot of things that, and whatever we discover is just a repetition of what's was written, a few hundred years ago in the yogis book. So we're just rediscovering this inner wisdom. But now
yeah,
the science is catching up, and we're realizing that, oh yeah, well, there is some logic to these hippie practices, and
yeah.
that's wonderful.
That's what I love, is like there is this science piece behind it. So, you know, it gives more opportunities for people to connect to it. You know, someone
Mm.
who's more analytical, more kind of skeptical, are they can connect with some scientific evidence, or, you know, where it doesn't feel like it's got this whole woo factor, and vice versa, you know. And I think that's what is so cool about it, is that there's just endless ways for people to come in and get a piece. And really, as you know, like, all it takes is having one experience with it, and then you're
Mm.
just like, whoa, okay, that's that, all I did was breathe, and that's how I felt. Like, I want more, you know. And time again, that's how it goes. And so it's just about, okay, how do you reach that person?
Yeah.
And I love that about Jack. He's so humble in saying that all the time. He's like, you know, we know like 0.1% about the brain, and about the breath, and I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
He'll be the first
Yeah.
one to tell you. So
And people love that, when you ask a question and the answer is I don't know, creates safety as well, because we're not used to that. So often you get people that need to have the answer, or you're a teacher, you should know. And the
yeah,
part of mystery that still lays with all these practices is what makes it so powerful as well. Is
yeah.
it's nice to know that we don't know everything. It's nice to know that we don't have to understand everything. Is the part of that's where you bring the mystical and the spiritual and the magical part. It says, okay, well, it just is. Just do it. I can't
Yeah,
tell you how. Just experience for yourself. And feeling is believing. Another quote. I'm not sure it's from Wim, but he likes to say that as well. But
yeah,
so man, time to wrap up a bit. So tell me a little bit.
yeah.
Tell us a bit where to connect with you and what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot going on. Ourbreathcollective.com, Our Breath Collective on Instagram. Those are kind of our two main spots to connect and see what we've got going on. We've got a handful of retreats that are coming up. We're doing a winter expedition in Tahoe in March. We're going to be back up in Topanga. We've been going up there, and hosting weekend retreats in May. We'll be in Costa Rica in July. Amidst all of that, we teach all of our online courses, and then, you know, really our main offering is a daily breathing session. So we have a membership platform where we lead short 15-minute breathing sessions every day. And we've got, you know, 20 different facilitators who each have their own perspective and own approach and own way of delivering the breath. And so that's kind of what the foundation was built upon. And then from there, we've, you know, added a lot of these other layers. But yeah, kind of constantly innovating and coming up with new ideas and new offerings and new ways to share and to connect. And we love doing it however we can, online, in person. Um, really just trying to provide as many opportunities for people to experience breathing, experience, like you said, cold, heat, connecting, community. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at
Cool.
the moment. We'll see where it goes. I'm sure there's going to be lots of other things that will pop up. Just keeping the ball rolling.
Wow, wonderful. So I'll put all those links, and I'm very excited. And yeah, I think the membership is a good idea. I see a few people doing that now. And I think it's great because people need routine and they need to be a bit supported in that, because it's one thing to acquire the knowledge, but having a group support and a place where you can go to, I think is very needed. And my friend Suntara is doing this with rebirthing in Bali, and yeah, it's really nice. So well done for that. And I love the collective
Yeah.
approach. So put all the links. And as for me, it's Breathing Cold Bali. I do workshops in Bali. I do free sessions, not as much as you, once a month, a free session. We'll do group ice baths next month, which I love to do online, which is really fun when people are just realizing, oh my God, I can take an ice bath online. How crazy is that? So we try to have fun. And the theme for this year is really to have fun. I feel that everything's too serious out there. So let's chill a little bit.
Yeah.
And I
Love it.
also, my main event is a Facilitator Training. Next one is in April, and it's Breathing Cold Bali. So happy to connect with anyone. So yeah, thank you so much for making
Awesome.
the time, the
Thank
other side of
you.
the world, and have a wonderful day. Thank you everyone for
Yeah.
joining.
Yeah, I appreciate all the work you're doing and keep it going, man. It's inspiring and appreciate you having me on here. So thank you so much.
No. And I want to come and visit you. So one of those retreats, you'll see me, and maybe I manage to get you all the way to Bali, and we'll have a breath collective in Bali. I would love to do that.
That'll be awesome.
Collaboration is the best about all this.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
See you,
Okay,
everyone.
man. Thanks.
Cheers.